Hi everybody, welcome to this Biomed Instagram Live. I'm Zack Goldblum. I'm a fourth year biomedical engineering student here at Drexel, and I'm joined by Dr. Fred Allen, who is a teaching professor and associate dean for undergraduate education at Drexel. So to get things started, hi, good to talk to you. So to get things started, could you talk a bit about what biomedical engineering is and what makes it unique from other engineering disciplines?
Sure, so biomedical engineering is engineering, but it's engineering applied to living systems and medical systems. So the uniqueness of biomedical engineering, in my mind, is that the problems tend to originate in a person, right? Engineers are always connected to people in some kind of way. And they're solving problems that are important to people, right? But biomedical engineering looks at problems that people are suffering from, right? So illnesses that you're having, the tools that we create to improve health, to understand how our health impacts us in our daily living experiences. And so I think that, in a nutshell, separates biomedical engineering from most other engineering disciplines, is that the problems originate inside of people.
Right, it really is like a human and individual focused discipline.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned through my experience at Drexel and in biomed is just how diverse the field is. I mean, at Drexel alone, you have concentrations in like bioinformatics, imaging, neuroengineering, human mechanics, and performance. So I think it's important for a student or someone in this field to have a focus, in a field that's so broad. And so I was wondering, how does a student find their niche within biomedical engineering, or find that spot in biomedical engineering that they really resonate with or that they're passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, biomedical engineering is a broad spectrum of disciplines. Some of the names you see up here on this placard behind us talk about the specialty areas or concentration areas that we have in biomedical engineering. And I will say that it's hard to say what you might be attracted to. When you get into a program of biomedical engineering, you'll be introduced to ideas and concepts, to the faculty or doing research in particular areas, to the employers that are hiring in particular market areas. And then you'll be introduced to other students, right? I think you do most of your learning about what niche you might be interested in from the students that are around.
Right, that's a great point.
So.
Yeah, at least in my own experience, when I came to Drexel, I thought I would be doing something completely different than what my own research interest is now. So it's something that is always in flux over time, and as you learn more and do more co-ops and research and internships, then I think you really do develop what you're truly passionate about in this field.
Oh yeah, look, man, if you're 18 years old and you know exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life when you get to college, good for you. Right? But I think you're going to be a rare individual. I do. Understanding what you want to do is a process, right? And you learn new things. So you keep your mind open, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah, absolutely keep your mind open. And then what area of biomedical engineering is your passion? Like, what excites you?
Well, I got interested in biomedical engineering because I was an electrical engineer, prior to going back to school and getting my PhD. I was working for General Electric. And I got interested in this modality of treatment called functional electrical stimulation. This was a way to help people walk again who have been paralyzed. But the process is in exciting the muscles in your legs to help you move again. That's a very, very complex problem. That got me interested in it. But once I got into my program of study, I got interested in cells. So I gravitated toward tissue engineering and biomaterials. And so that was the area that I focused my time on. But if you're asking me what excites me about biomedical engineering, where I think things are going, there are two particular strains that I think are really future bound. One is, well, a lot of them are. I'm excited about the whole spectrum of biomedical engineering, but one is brain-computer interfaces. Right, where we're connecting our brains to machines. That's going to help us with new types of prosthetics that are very responsive to our thinking and our movements. And then it also gives us modes of communication and control. We control robotics. Maybe you have, if you were paralyzed, you would have an assistant that would be a robot, and you can communicate with the robot through your mind. And then additionally, the other strain or pathway is what we just saw with the pandemic, right? When we're getting into the development of vaccines, and it's an area coming up, some of our faculty are really getting excited about it. It's called immune engineering. And this is understanding how the immune system works and how we can leverage the immune system to help us against a lot of the disease that we have. And this fits in that whole framework of vaccines, how we were able to produce this particular vaccine for the pandemic. And I think that those are exciting areas.
Absolutely. So when after someone earns their degree in biomedical engineering, and they're looking, to either go into academia or industry, like what are some of the career paths that having this degree opens up for a student?
Yeah, so I think that first of all, I'll put biomedical engineering in the category of an engineering undergraduate education. Okay. And I think an engineering undergraduate education is a very solid foundation to do anything you want to do. All right. Maybe you want to be a researcher, right? Maybe you want to go to industry, and there's a lot of industry now that is focused on healthcare. I would say that when I first got into it back in the 90s, industry had not caught up with this whole biomedical engineering thing. But they're right there with it right now. From the pharmaceutical side of the business all the way to, let's say, the artificial heart side of the business, where you're building devices, heart-lung machines, pumps that help you to do the surgeries that you need to do. Well, doctors do the surgeries that they need to do. These are the broad spectrum of areas that you can go into for your career. Yeah.
There's really a lot there. And then what drove you to academia, like working at a university?
Yeah, so like I said, I was working at General Electric, and I just realized that I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I didn't see myself doing that for the long haul, and so I went back to school and I got my PhD, and then I got into the business here at Drexel University. I came here in 2000, right? So I've been here about 22 years now, and what I really love about it is the students, you guys, right? You're phenomenal, right? I mean, the fact that you're doing this, right now, I don't know that I could have done this at your age, and I would say that working with the students has been a passion of mine, for sure, and it continues to be.
Yeah, and then in working with students, like what are some of the qualities or skills they hope students acquire throughout their education?
Yeah, very good question. So when you come to college is a learning boot camp, right? What you are learning how to do at college is learn, to become a learner, a lifelong learner, right? Because every time you want to know something new, you're not going to take a class for it, but you learn how to work with other people, to work in teams. Here at Drexel, we work in teams a lot in our classwork, because when you get into industry, you're going to be working with other teams of professionals to do the things that you need to do to put out the products that you guys are building. And so I think that aspect of college really prepares you for your career. Learning how to learn quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly, right? That's why waiting in college for the amount of years to get your degree is the risk that companies want to take on you, because they know you're a fast learner, right? Without the degree, it kind of says maybe you're a fast learner, maybe not, I don't know, right? But the degree says so.
Oh, it does. And, especially in biomed, it's such a rapidly evolving field. So having that foundation of skills to learn quickly and to learn new things, that's so important in a field that's going to be, different, in just a few years from what you may be doing now.
Oh yeah, I can tell you, from the perspective, when I talked about tissue engineering in the 90s was sort of brand new. And people were like, oh, okay, so what you're telling me is we can engineer tissues, make cells do the type of things that they need to do to make the tissues that you want. That's evolving to the condition of what they call regenerative medicine, where biomedical engineering is in the business of trying to make organs, right? And now we have the nexus of that kind of thinking with technology like 3D printers, right? They call it additive manufacturing, where you can actually now print an organ, right?
Incredible.
And use that. It's got a long way to go, but that's the pathway. And then beyond that, you've got the next stage of evolution, which is the immune engineering I was talking about. That using your body as the tool to heal itself.
That's fascinating. And it's cool because as biomedical engineering progresses, it's not just the techniques and the technologies that the engineering creates that are progressing, but it's also our own understanding of the human body and the human systems within that. So
biomedical engineering, what makes it challenging? And I'm going to say you're going to be a really good top student to be in biomedical engineering, okay? What makes it challenging is that you have the life science side of it, you have the engineering aspects of it, which includes the math and the sciences, and then the engineering concepts that go along with that. And when you put that all together, it represents what we are. Having that knowledge is important because our bodies are a full developed system of all areas: electrical, chemical, right? Mechanical, materials, computing, right? And you will learn how to program, right? You have to learn how to program because that's all part of the process.
Oh, that's very interesting. So sort of looking, into the future a little bit, what advances are you hoping come to fruition in maybe the next 5 years or the next 10 years plus?
So just speaking on the vaccine technology that I mentioned, that has a lot of potential to create developments that will help us in curing cancer, right? When you think about that combined with, you may have heard CRISPR, right, which is a biological tool to edit DNA. And with that and the ability to apply gene therapy, I think there's going to be some exciting breakthroughs in beating back cancer. Cancer is the number 2 killer in America. The number 1 killer is heart disease, right? So that's a big area. That's a big problem area, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So if you're interested in working in that area, there's going to be plenty to do.
Right.
But I would say the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to see some amazing breakthroughs. Immunotherapy is already on the table for fighting cancer, and it's only improving.
Right. And it's pretty amazing that in biomedical engineering, you can be actually developing the technologies that could save so many lives. I mean, cardiovascular disease and cancer are the number 1 and number 2 killers of people. And so to, be working toward a degree in a career where you could, be helping so many people, I mean, that's, really an amazing thing.
Yeah. And, if I could just make a point about, let's say beyond 15 years, let's go to the mid-century, right? We're going to be on the moon. We're going to be on Mars. Those environments are different than the Earth. Our physiological system is going to change in those environments. So dealing with those changes are going to be really critical issues and problems that biomedical engineers will be at the forefront of solving.
Right. That's a fascinating problem because, your body, when in zero gravity, is in such a different environment than what you're experiencing on Earth.
Correct.
So, I mean, that just opens the door to so much, amazing research and innovation.
Exactly.
That'd be really interesting.
Yep, absolutely.
And then I guess to sort of backtrack a little bit. So when a student is at Drexel, or even a prospective student looking at biomedical engineering, like what are some skills, maybe hard skills, so something like coding, that you think that people should be developing, maybe prior to college, or that they should make sure that they have, that they hone throughout their college experience?
Yeah, excellent question. I've actually been asked the question by high school students. They said, I have the option of taking AP statistics or program. And I said, well, if you want to come to engineering, I would recommend you take the programming class. Nothing against statistics. It's very important, and we teach the statistics here. But even though you guys have grown up in the computer age, I am so surprised that you guys don't program naturally. But it's a language. It's a language that you have to learn. So the earlier you start on learning it, the better you'll get at doing it, and it helps you in this process. Additional to that, I would say you definitely want to get a good mathematical foundation, which means calculus, right? If you can get calculus by the end of high school, and be introduced to it and get a feeling for it before you come to college, that will help you out tremendously.
Right. And we were talking about this offline, but it really does underpin a lot of the foundational classes in engineering.
Yep.
Because it underpins physics, which is very important, both in your freshman year classes and everything that builds on top of these foundations.
Right. Yeah, you got to be good with math, or at least you have to be not afraid of math, right? There's a lot of people who have math phobia, As an engineer, you cannot have math phobia. Yeah, it's your tool, it's your language.
Right. And something I wanted to just comment on, that's pretty unique at Drexel for biomedical engineering is the co-op program. And the skills that you learn in co-op and the skills that you learn through your classes. And there's a lot of overlap, but you will learn so much through co-op as well. And like personally, that's where I've learned many of my hard skills, like in coding and 3D printing, was all through co-op. And it just provides a really incredible opportunity for students to go beyond their classes and really apply what they're learning in a real environment.
All right. Where'd you do your co-op experience?
So my most recent two co-ops are at a company called Moberg Analytics, which is right in the center of the city. And I'm working on developing sensors for neurocritical care ICUs.
Yeah, and sensors are a tool that you will learn about in biomedical engineering because they apply to so many different things. Sensors give you information, right? I'm wearing a sensor right now. See this? This is a sensor, right? It can give me my heart rate. It tells me how many hours I've been sleeping. It tells me how many steps I've been taking, right? Information that is useful to our health and our health care. I think this is a century where we're going to see some tremendous advances in sensors as well. But I would say that in terms of the skills that you need, communication is important, right? Verbal communication, written communication, right? We will teach you how to make presentations. You may have had a little practice with it in high school, and you'll come here and you think you're good.
And you get a lot more practice.
And you get better, right? Because practice makes perfect. And then in addition to that, writing, creating documents that communicate your ideas to others, very critical. Because all of those are the things that employers want from you. They want you to have those skill sets. They don't need to teach you those things. They just want you to use them. And that's part of that quick learning. If you had an opportunity at a company and you're a college graduate and you put down your resume and then you before you came to college as a high school graduate put down that resume, there's no comparison, right? And the company is going to take their gamble on you to be the right choice. And so the skill sets that you learn here in problem solving, communication, working in teams, all of those things are applicable.
Right. Definitely, they're just foundational skills. So I guess more generally, like what advice would you give to a student, either prospective, looking at college or biomedical engineering, or someone who is currently in a program? This could be advice for during their education, for their career, or about being a lifelong learner in general.
Yeah. So if you've already made the choice to go to college, like I said, college is an experience that's going to teach you how to learn quickly, right? And in that process, what college gives you is a confidence, right? To not be afraid of very complex problems, right? How do you tackle a big problem, right? When people say cancer is such a huge problem, well, if we were afraid of the problem that cancer is, then none of the developments that we see happening would ever be happening. One person's not going to do it. A lot of people are going to do it. So when you come to college, learn how to work with others, be collaborative, those are skill sets that will go a long way. And I would say keep an open mind, right? Work hard. You know, if you want something, you got to put in the work, but keep an open mind that, you know, this is part of your experience, right? This is actually the nexus from going from a kid to an adult, right? This is where you put out your first step into the adult world. And if you do a good job in college, then that sets you up for a lot of opportunities afterwards. So, you know, take advantage of that.
Yeah, and you know, I think that was a good point you made, with not being afraid of a complex problem. Because any problem, in biomedical engineering, when it relates to a living organism, is a complex problem.
Absolutely.
And so to learn, and you do learn this throughout your education, is how to break that complex problem down into manageable pieces, and then work toward building a solution to that very complex problem. And I think that is, a very important skill.
And it's rewarding, isn't it?
It is.
When you have a hard problem and you're banging your head against it for a while, and then it starts to come through for you, it's a great feeling.
Right. When you have that breakthrough moment where you finally solve something you've been working on or stuck on.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of the difficulties and the struggles worth it.
Right. And you do it with other people, so you really build a friendship and a camaraderie that makes it an enjoyable experience, right? Because we want to do the things that we like to do.
Right.
We don't want it to be in drudgery. Mm-hmm. We want to be excited about what we do and do it as a passion. So yeah, and you can find that. Just keep an open mind and work hard, and it will open up for you. It will.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Were there any other topics that you want to touch on, or do you think that we?
Well, biomedical engineering was not big when I was an undergraduate student. I was an undergraduate student back in the early '80s, and it was just starting. You would hear about biomedical engineering, but in the '90s, it really started to grow up, and definitely over the last 20 years, biomedical engineering has grown a lot. A lot of programs are at different colleges now, and you have that opportunity to study it as an undergraduate student. I think that's great, because I think it's going to form a cadre of professionals that are going to work on very hard problems that we need solving, problems that have been with us for a long time, like cancer and heart disease. And I would say that if you choose to study biomedical engineering, understand that you're not locked in if that's not what you want to continue with, because the educational foundation that you have sets you up for anything that you want to do. As a matter of fact, a lot of our people, they go into industry, in the healthcare industry. Some people go to professional schools, they become lawyers and doctors and veterinarians, dentists, right? And some of our students go on to become academics and go into government organizations. I mean, there's a lot of different places you can go. And, and I like to say, if at the end of it all you want to lump it and go to school to be a chef, good for you, right? Because it's about you and your choices and what you want to do. Always reserve the right to change your mind. Work hard at the things that you set your mind for, and I think you'll be successful. Right? Because you define your success. Don't let other people define it for you.
All right. Well, Dr. Allen, thank you. It's been great to talk to you.
Outstanding. Thanks, Dan.